Although there are many that would have you believe that life happens to you, there are actually some very fine-tuned laws in place when it comes to our universe. Fine-tuned laws that, when understood and engaged with in a certain way, allow you to influence reality powerfully. In fact, when you understand what I'm going to give you today, and more importantly, start to apply it in your daily life, your reality becomes very subject to influence, and you can begin to create it in the ways that you want. In Hermetic wisdom, there is a teaching called the principle of correspondence. I believe this to be one of the most crucial, as it describes how things connect, why certain things occur in your life, and that these things are not actually coincidences as most people believe. So most importantly, I'll teach you how to have much more influence over your life, knowing how to control the things you absolutely can control, but most people ignore, and to stop controlling the processes that you can't control, which funnily enough, many try to control, and it's what leads to a lot of their struggle and strife. So in this video, we're gonna really dive deep into this principle using a lot of different examples so that you fully understand what's going on here, why this is so crucial, and again, most importantly, I'm gonna give you some tools and techniques at the end that you can use to start applying this in your life, because like the famous quote goes, the famous axiom, knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. So we wanna get you some experience in utilizing this crucial principle of the universe so that you're actually getting some results. Let's get into it. So if you've read the Kabbalion or other texts that go over Hermetic wisdom, you'll know about the 7 principles. And these 7 principles, for those of you who don't know, or just as a reminder, are called the principle of mentalism, correspondence, which we are covering today, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Now, these 7 principles used together are insanely powerful to such an extent that secret societies, those in elite circles, have coveted this information and the application of this wisdom for generations. You know, this stuff dates back to even ancient Egypt. And so this stuff is so valuable and will change your life when you learn it. And in this video, we're learning one of the ones that I think is one of the most crucial to understand. Because learning the principle of correspondence, really getting it and applying it in your life, helps you to understand more of how reality works. Because if you don't know the rules to the game of how life works, of how reality operates, how are you going to function in that game? How are you going to be able to play it well? It's like playing Mario, and let's say you're Mario in that game, and you have no idea how to move, you don't know how to jump and attack these things that are attacking you, you don't know how to power up, you don't know how to get to the next level. You're gonna stay on level 1 forever until you become aware of the rules of the game, and then you know how to get to the next level, then the next level, and the next level. Learning these principles is very, very similar to that, where you'll know how to level up in the game, you know, expand yourself, explore different things, bring more things about. And this principle is one of my favorites because it really helps you start to get a grasp of all of this. And that's why these principles have been so valued throughout the ages. This is not just conjecture. This is not woo-woo nonsense. These are principles that have been applied practically for thousands of years and have gotten results. That is why they have stood the test of time. If these principles were given, and they were given to certain people, and they used them and they didn't work consistently, and they didn't work for everyone who applied them diligently, we wouldn't know about them today because they wouldn't have stood the test of time, but they have because they work. Now let's jump into the principle of correspondence, which, if you've ever heard the saying, as above, so below, as below, so above, that is where this comes from. It comes from the principle of correspondence. It is essentially pointing at a seamless connection between all planes of existence, mainly the spiritual, mental, and physical plane being in correspondence with each other, being connected and influencing each other. Now, this is important to understand as well, that there are essentially 3 planes of existence: the mental, spiritual, and physical. And just to cover that really quickly so you can get an idea of this, you know, the physical I don't think needs much explanation. It's the one you're probably used to, the one you operate on with your 5 senses. You're in physical form. The mental is more your thinking, your thoughts, your imagination, your visualizations. Essentially anything to do with the world of the mental falls within that plane of existence. existence. Now, the spiritual is your connection to the divine, to all that is. We can also consider this more the energetic plane of existence. This is the one that operates at the highest level of vibration, we can call it, to the highest degree, where the physical operates at the lowest rate of vibration, a slower rate of vibration, with the mental kind of being, I would just say, a little bit below the spiritual in that terms. It's still a pretty fast rate of vibration, but the spiritual being the highest rate of vibration. Now, we can also consider that, like I said, energy, so emotion, energy in motion. Your energy, the emotions you entertain, are going to determine where you are on that spiritual plane. So keep those three planes in mind as we go through this, because this is where the principle of correspondence comes in. All three of these planes are in communication, connection, and correspondence with each other. So what does that mean? They're in correspondence with each other. It essentially means this, that each one influences the other. Something that you do on one plane of existence has correspondence on the other planes of existence. Here's a very simple example. Have you ever heard of the quote over and over again in like success circles and self-development that you become what you think about? Right? That is you thinking about something on the mental plane of existence that causes you to become certain things equivalent to those thoughts on the physical plane of existence. This is the principle of correspondence at work. Why is it that we say thoughts are things? Why is it if you think a certain way long enough, it influences your physical? Why is it if you feel a certain way long enough, you connect to the divine and what you are long enough, it also has certain effects and makes a certain difference on the physical, and it will the mental as well. Why is that? Because they're all in correspondence. If you think negative thoughts a lot of the time, you're going to see the effects of that on the physical plane. If you think positive thoughts genuinely most of the time, you're going to see the effects of that on the physical plane, because all of these planes are connected. Now, you can come at this from a different angle and even using the physical plane to influence the other two. For example, if you ever felt a little depressed or kind of just like your body language was really kind of constricted and you didn't feel so good, and heard the advice, well, if you change your posture, the way you move, the way you hold yourself, your energy will change. Because you can also use the physical to change the other two. Now, ideally, you will change the other two first, because that's actually where most of the power is. Again, higher rates of vibration exist on those two planes, but it happens on all of them. And so if you're slouched and you're like this and you suddenly put your shoulders back, you stand up straight, you kind of just like look more up instead of down, you will notice a shift in your energy and in your thoughts as well. If you look down and kind of slump over and just stare at the floor, you'll notice another shift in your energy, the spiritual plane, and your thought process, the mental plane. And so they're all influencing each other. The actions you take on each, the things you entertain on each, will influence the other planes. In fact, one example I'll even give you of physically doing this, and again, we're going to focus more on spiritually and mentally doing this when we get into tools, because that's where a lot of the growth is, but you can also do it physically. If you ever heard of something called polar plunging or ice baths, this is an amazing way to change your state physically that influences your thoughts and influences your energy. So it's something I like to do, and I'll have some footage come across for sure so you can see that I actually do it. But when you jump into a cold plunge, an ice bath, it immediately changes your physical state. It gives a shock to the system, and you feel so good afterwards emotionally. You have amazing, more positive thoughts. It kind of almost drains the negativity from you. And it really gets you in the moment, which is also going to help the spiritual plane and the mental plane. And so this is just an example so that you know that this does exist, where you can start from the physical to change the other two, because we are going to get into examples of the other two mainly changing the physical. But that's just a good example that paints the picture that by influencing the physical, I've now changed the other two because they're all in correspondence. Now, something to understand about the principle of correspondence is not all of these things happen immediately, and they can take some time. They happen over time. For example, we talked about thoughts. Well, you can think one positive thought, and it's not going to have an influence in your physical world. You can feel good once, and just doing that, but then feeling bad the rest of the time, is not going to change your physical circumstances. And again, this goes back to the rate of vibration vibration. In fact, the principle of vibration, which is the third or fourth principle in Hermetic wisdom, kind of goes into this deeper. So that's something to explore if you want to look at this a little deeper. But essentially, each plane of existence, like I said, has a certain rate of vibration or a range of rate of vibration. The physical being the densest, the slowest, and the spiritual being the highest. This is why things can happen almost instantaneously on the spiritual. In fact, they can happen instantaneously on the spiritual plane of existence, but take more time to solidify in the physical. For example, you can change your mood right now. I've done this before, but if you were to close your eyes and think of something that you love, a memory that you cherish, a person that whenever you think about them just makes you smile automatically, you can't even help it. You'll probably notice if you keep your eyes closed and you really visualize that person or that event or that experience or whatever else it was, if you really tune into that you're feeling a lot better, that your state has changed. Because very quickly you can tune into that. You're actually also using the mental plane of existence there to elicit a feeling on the spiritual. Now, when you get really good at this, you can influence the spiritual, the energetic, without even thinking of anything. But this is how powerful the mind can be in the mental plane, where you can think of something and it elicits an emotion which will inspire you to certain action on the physical. Now, why is this so crucial to understand when it comes to reality creation, to fulfilling your dreams, to living the dream life you want to live? Because if you are like most people, you're just operating on the physical plane of existence consciously and intentionally. Most people focus on the physical. They try to change their physical through the physical, and this isn't how it works. The physical is simply an accumulation of what you've been entertaining on the mental and energetic plane. Said another way, your physical reality is simply your energetic history. Your physical reality is simply your energetic history. Everything you see around you is actually the history of the way you've been thinking, visualizing, feeling, where your emotions have been energetically in the past, which have led up to certain things coming about in the physical. Certain opportunities, actions you've ended up taking from an inspired place, certain things that have formed, things that have come in. And so that's why it's so crucial to understand, because when you know these are all connected, that you can intentionally and consciously change the way you engage with the spiritual plane and the mental plane. By doing that, you influence and create new effects on the physical plane. This is actually the law of attraction at a more deep level, how it operates. This is actually manifestation at a deeper level when you understand this, because it's the spiritual and mental plane where most of your results come from. I've said this before, but I'll repeat it here just so you have it. Our reality is 99.999999% energy and empty space. This is a scientific fact. The rest of reality, the physical, the plane of existence most people focus on, is actually 0.000001% of reality. And so no wonder the people that only focus on the physical have such a hard time. Even if they manifest or create some kind of wealth or something, there's always a ton of different problems. And then people that go the spiritual, mental route that bring about things in the physical tend to live a very balanced life that's fulfilled and abundant in pretty much every pillar of their life, because they're focusing on what that 99.9+% is, rather than that tiny fraction of what reality is. And so this is why it's crucial to understand this principle and to apply it. Because when you do, you genuinely and powerfully activate the law of attraction in your favor. You activate manifestation in your favor, and you can start manifesting and creating your reality in insanely powerful and, operative word here, intentional, and also another operative word, conscious ways. Now, this also points to something else that a lot of people don't like to entertain, and I'll go into briefly why that is, and that is that there aren't really any coincidences in your life. You see, we think certain things are coincidences because a circumstance comes into our life or something comes into our physical. That's usually how it goes. Like something comes in, a certain person, there's a deja vu moment, whatever it is, and we chalk it up to coincidences. The reason we think it's a coincidence and it's just random is because we cannot see the fine-tuned process behind the scenes scenes beyond the veil that is at work on the spiritual and mental planes. But if you were able to look at the whole picture, which we in human form probably will never be able to look at fully, but if we could, we would see certain things happening on the spiritual plane, certain things that have been happening on the mental plane, and then the corresponding effect happening on the physical plane, and it making complete sense. You would be able to connect all of the dots. But because we can't really reach that level of understanding, because we're here as physical beings, spiritual beings in physical bodies, sure, but we're still having this physical existence, it's hard to really look at the tapestry, to look beyond the veil and see all of that coming about. But when you really notice at a deep level, you gain the understanding and awareness that none of this is coincidence. And that's a good thing for you, because that means you can start doing certain things intentionally on the spiritual and mental planes, which by law have to have corresponding effects to whatever you're doing on those planes on the physical. Meaning, if you do specific things, and I'm going to give you some of these things on the spiritual plane, specific things on the mental plane, you will get very predictable and specific things, not in necessarily predictable ways, but you will get certain predictable things, the physicalization of certain energies and thoughts in the physical. And it starts to become this place where you know the rules to the game, and if you follow the rules of the game and you apply them, you start going up to the next level. So we live in a finely tuned universe. Now, like I mentioned, it will take time for the physical manifestation to show up because of the rate of vibration. What this means is things happen slower and faster on different planes of existence. On the mental and spiritual plane, things are very quick. Like you experienced earlier in the video, you can tune into love, you can tune into abundance and peace and all of these states very quickly. But for them to become physicalized, you have to create that new energetic history, right? You have to create that new future by being in it now. But when you stay in that vibration, when you stay keeping your thoughts in a particular direction, focusing that energy in a particular direction, after enough time, it creates it on the physical. Opportunities start showing up. Weird manifestations out of nowhere start showing up. This happens every single time, but you have to stay there long enough. And I'll even give you the time frame in which you need to stay there. We call this the quantum to Newtonian transition point. So the energetic to the physical transition point. How long do you have to stay in a certain energy for it to start showing up in the physical? And the answer is actually not, you'll be very maybe surprised by this, it only takes 6 to 8 weeks of, this is the key word, focused particle flow to receive dramatic changes, results, manifestations on the physical plane. Now, notice how I say dramatic, meaning that in the weeks leading up to those 6 to 8 weeks that you hit, there's still going to be things coming in. But you can have dramatic, life-shattering, life-changing results in 6 to 8 weeks with focused particle flow. Now, a lot of people struggle to have focused particle flow because they're not trained to do it. But when you get to that point, and even if you're just trying, even if you're just going for it and you're really committed to it, you will get there, and on the way, you will still get manifestations. And one of the great things is, remember that a new future is always available. A new energetic history can always be created. So no matter where you are in life right now, no matter what struggles you may be going through, a new choice can always be made. A new commitment can always be made. And when you make a new commitment to a new future, genuinely, fully, like you're fully committed to doing that, you start this process in motion and things begin to change. And you can always create that new future, no matter how down and out you think you are, no matter if you think it's not going to work for you. Now, we are going to get into some tools that are going to help you to activate this. I'm going to give you some things. If you do consistently, you will start to see changes. Absolutely. In fact, one of these things I even gave to a client recently, and she started having some crazy manifestations coming through, you know, even saying like, my mind is blown. I don't know where these things came from, because she wanted to essentially receive donations for something. She's part of an organization and she needed to receive kind of food for animals and all this, and she wasn't getting those. She started doing this one thing, and this food was left on her doorstep every single day to the point where she can't even use it all. And that's a simple little manifestation, but it blew her away because all she did was use one of these tools to activate that. And then this started to happen. Now, if you want to take this all to the next level, you don't want to go through trial and error. You don't want to go out there and do this by yourself, getting mediocre results because, frankly, you probably don't know exactly how to apply this. You don't know if it's working, if you're doing it right. And you want proper guidance. You want proper feedback. You want to essentially plug into a system that if you just do, you get the results. Then I would check out our EMF program, which is a 6-month reality creation program. By looking at the free video we have linked in the description. It is the first link that goes over how it works, the results people are getting, and everything else. This is seriously a life-changing program that you just plug into, and it shows you how to create your reality, gives you every tool, every insight, and most importantly, keeps you accountable, keeps you in the room so that you get this. You do it with a group of people who will become your peers, who will become your friends, who are doing this work, who will be midwives to your dreams instead of dream stealers, that are going to help you through this process, guidance from myself and also from my mentor actually, so that you get this. And so you're not for years upon years or even decades for some people trying to figure this stuff out and again, only getting mediocre results. And we have already worked with thousands of people who have gotten incredible results. One of our students, Robin, said, I have yet to see someone who has gone through this process, EMF, who has not yet changed. Or Matt, who said what you'll see on screen, where his business in like 6 to 8 weeks, quantum to Newtonian transition point, just started to flourish. And he's got a great testimonial where he actually got very emotional about it. And these are just some of the just amazing testimonials, amazing reviews we get. There's actually hundreds upon hundreds of more of these. There are many examples also, video testimonials you can look at on that page linked down below. But seriously, if you're ready to commit to this and not keep going through trial and error, to not kind of know if this will work, kind of not know, and you really want a hand and help from people who have been there and done that in a system that has helped thousands of people to get to this place, and you want to be one of those people that just knows how to really use this principle along with the other 7 hermetic principles, that really wants to get control of their life to be able to create their reality, then I really recommend you check out that video down below to see if it's a good fit for you, and then just take it from there. All right, so let's go over some tools and techniques you can start using right now to get some help with doing this. Now, this first technique I really love, and it comes from this book, so you can also use this book, and it is The Power, I don't know if you can see that, The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to do this thing called relax and release. It is very simple. And what you're going to be doing with this is you're going to be influencing your physical and your mental in order to help your spiritual and everything else really. So all you're going to do throughout the day is you're going to lay on a chair or on a couch or whatever you have, and you are going to let your whole body kind of release. The way he describes it is like, imagine you're a jellyfish and you're just kind of like this and you're very, very relaxed. Every muscle in your body is relaxed. Breathe deeply and just let all of the physical tension release and go. Another example he says is, pretend you're like a sack of potatoes and you cut open the sack and all the potatoes just fall out on the floor, and just fall onto the floor. And you're like that sack, just completely at ease, just all the potatoes, all the burden's gone. And so that's another way you can kind of visualize it. And you're just going to be there on the sofa, the couch, the chair, whatever it is, in this state. You should feel very relaxed and like you've really released a lot of tension from your body as you do this. So we're using the physical. Now we're going to use the mental visualization. While you're in this state, you are going to visualize energy kind of draining from your head. It can be like a flow, almost like a water-like substance just kind of being released from your head. It can be coming out the sides of your head, it can be coming out the back, but whatever it is, you can imagine yourself in space and this just happening. And just for about a minute or two, you're just going to visualize all the thoughts, all this energy just kind of being released, coming out the sides, whatever makes most sense for you, and see it flowing out. See this energy, these thoughts, these overthinking thoughts you probably have happening all this time, all the problems, all the tensions, all the things you're thinking about, just have them flow out. Right? And you're just going to allow this to happen while you're in that relaxed state, which is going to make this easier, allowing that to happen. And that is actually it. You're just going to then get up and get on with your day from there, but you're going to notice you feel a lot better. And what you did is you allowed yourself to relax and release so much of the tension that was built up in your mental and also your physical, which was blocking you from feeling certain ways that you want to feel, which is so crucial to getting this right. Again, the spiritual is the highest rate of vibration. We really want to do things to allow ourselves to actually vibrate high on that spiritual scale. And so if you do this throughout the day, 3, 4, 5 times a day. And it sounds so simple, but in the book, Norman Vincent Peale gives examples of who he got this from. It was a very successful person. I forget their name, but essentially someone who had a lot to do and everything. And he asked him, like, how are you always so relaxed? How do you seem to, no matter what happens, stay so composed and calm? How is it you're able to embrace the storm when it happens in your life and all these good things start to happen? You don't get panicked, you don't get hooked in. And he gave him this technique, essentially. Now, next idea or next tool is something that's so crucial. And it's called staying tuned in. And the reason this is crucial, and I'll explain exactly how to do it, is because you are transmitting out energy. You are activating certain things on these planes of existence always. There's no off switch to it. You are in infinite action, meaning you're thinking all day long. You're visualizing, thinking, picturing, you're feeling all day long, connecting or not connecting to the divine. You're taking certain physical actions, whether even at rest, all day long. And all of this is influencing each other, creating a certain vibration within you, creating a certain energy ball, we can call it, in your life. And a good way to look at it is you have a positive energy ball and a negative energy ball in your life, and how tuned in or what you're tuned into will determine the size of each. Now, most people, as you can imagine, have a very big negative energy ball. This has a lot more weight and gravity and magnetism to it, which is why they attract a lot of other negative things. But when you begin to switch this, when you build that positive energy ball by tuning in more, tuning into the audios, the books, the mentorship, the programs, the things that will essentially help you build this energy ball more because you're tuning more into that energy. You know, when you read a book like this, it's already calibrated at that energy. The act of just reading this builds your positive energy ball because it's going to saturate your mind with these ideas. You're not going to be able to focus on anything else while you're reading this. You're going to be exposed to things that help you move differently in your life. You'll use the tools, hopefully, that it gives to continue to build that as well. But you have to stay tuned in. This is why, you know, we get so much success in our program because we help people stay tuned in for 6 months. For the whole 6 months, they build such a massive positive energy ball that after the program, they're able to go off and do it on their own with the new habits, connections, and everything else they've built to continue building their reality in powerful ways. But understand, you are always tuning into something. What are you tuning into? Are you tuning into negativity? Are you gossiping? Are you tuning into groups of people that are in a very negative place? Are you tuning into the news? And you know, I'm sure you can imagine the news is not calibrated at very high energy or putting thoughts in your head that are going to serve you that much. And so what are you tuning into? If you are tuning into stuff throughout the day, most days, that help you build the positive energy ball, which in turn helps the negative to shrink, then you're on the right track. Again, you can do this through trial and error. You can get into a system that works and is proven and will help you do this, like, guaranteed, but you need to find a way to do this. And most people live from the place of negativity and every now and then vacation to the place of positivity. But when you get really good at this, when you plug into a system, when you tune in long enough, you start to live from the positive energy ball and only ever visit the negative one. And that's where you want to be, because when you're in that place, your reality creation powers are at an all-time high. They're going to be so quick, so fast, you're going to understand them, it's going to be amazing. You know, you're going to be corresponding positively on all planes of existence. You're having really good thoughts, really good emotions, which are leading to really good physical actions, inspired actions, and opportunities. Now, the next one I want to give you comes from actually Abraham Hicks, and this is called a Rampage of Appreciation. And the reason I love this one is because it's another one you can just do throughout the day very, very quickly, but this actually invokes all 3 planes of existence. It invokes the spiritual, the mental, and physical all in one. And again, it's a rampage of appreciation. So this is like doing a normal appreciation or gratitude practice, but you're gonna really be animated, really get into it, like really get energized. You know, you're going to go over what you're appreciative for. I am so thankful and grateful for, and then you're off to the races, just flowing for about 1 minute to 3 minutes. You know, you can get your body involved, you know, kind of move around, get really animated, you be like a preacher at a church who's really into his sermon. You know, you ever seen those videos and they're just so into it, the language they use, the power that comes from them, and whether you're religious or not, you can feel that emanating from them, and that is the energy you're going for when you do the Rampage of Appreciation. So you could be, you know, I am so appreciative and thankful that I get to make these videos on YouTube and help people through them. I'm so appreciative and thankful for my home, the vastness of it, the beauty of it, the energy that it has. I'm so appreciative and thankful right now for my partner, who is so amazing and so wonderful, and so thankful for the universe for bringing us together. I am so thankful that I have an amazing body that is strong, that is athletic, that is healthy. I'm so thankful for my koi fish outside that I absolutely love feeding and love just watching from time to time. I'm so thankful for everything I get to do in a given day, for all the opportunities that are coming into me at all times that I only need to see in order to take them. I'm so thankful to have this information and wisdom that allows me to know the rules to the game of life. Okay, so something like that, right? And that was just me riffing there. Whew, and I feel good right after that, and that was what, like 30 seconds. I don't know how long that was. Do that for at least 1 minute to 3 minutes throughout the day, getting that animated, getting that your body involved, getting your emotions really high, not just going like this, like, yeah, well, I'm thankful, I guess, for that thing over there. Oh, how long do I have to do this? I'm thankful for da-da-da. You know, it's just a completely different engagement of the body, the emotions, the mentality. And so if you do the Rampage of Appreciation more like I was going over there, like I was doing it, and in your own way, you might not do it exactly how I did it. It's not to mimic me, but it's to do it in a way that raises your energy, that gets your body involved, move around, and get you into that flow where you're thinking and speaking these kinds of appreciations out loud. Now, the final tool I want to give you is actually this video over here, where I dive into cause and effect, which is the 6th principle in hermetic wisdom. It is tied so closely to correspondence that by understanding and applying both, you are going to learn the other so much more deeply and get this to work so much more powerfully. So it is a natural follow-up to this video, an amazing tool to go watch. It's absolutely free, and I dive deeply into it, so I'd go check it out here.